In this video, we'll be having a look at how we import our Centrepay payments directly into Shintaro. In order to do this, we must receive our Centrepay payments as a CSV file, and this CSV file is a comma-separated variable file. If we don't get our Centrepay payments as a CSV file, we need to ring our Centrepay representative and ask them to change this for us, which will take a day or two. Once we've done this, we import the Centrepay payments via the Finance option from the main menu, then into Bank Functions, and into the Multi-Bank Processing screen. We use the Multi-Bank Processing screen for all of our bank payments and Centrepay payments in Shintaro. There are 5 steps used in the process of importing bank or Centrepay files, Centrepay in this case, and these are listed down here. The first step is to select the file to import. This is the step where you go and find the file that Centrepay have sent us. We click the ellipsis, and we find the file. You or someone else would have saved this file onto your network somewhere after it's been downloaded from the Centrepay website. The second step is to select the bank account. There is a drop-down list of all of the valid bank accounts in your system. You can see I have a whole lot of bank accounts in my list because this is the demo system, but you will probably have 3 or so, including Centrepay. So we must make sure that when we're importing a Centrepay file, that we're importing it to the Centrepay account. The third step is to import the file. When we click Import, Centrepay will bring all of the transactions in this file to this screen. So this is just a holding screen. Nothing is going onto our tenancies until we've looked at this information and we're happy that it's all right. So let's have a look and see how this screen works. We can see on the left that we have the date of the transaction. There will only be one date for the transaction because Centrepay is a daily file. The amount of the whole transaction is next to the date, and the Centrepay description is in this column. So all of the information on this side is the Centrepay file information. To the right of this, these boxes display how Shintaro is interpreting that information. You can see here that Shintaro tells us that some of these are not a rent payment, and one of these lines is not allocated to anyone. You can also see that we have columns over here for the rent component and other amount 1 to 5. This is because Shintaro allows us to have up to 5 splits for one payment, as well as the rent component. If you would like to set up splits, you can have a look at the previous e-learning video on payment splits. If you have set up splits, these amounts will show here in different columns. You can see here that Glenn Matlock has 2 splits after the rent component. Centrepay have paid a total of $500 for Glenn, and this is split into $400 for rent, $40 for one charge, and $60 for another charge. We could adjust these amounts in the other charges here by changing these to $50 and $50, and as long as these add up, this would be okay. We can see on the right-hand side that we have the Generate Credit column. This means that when we click the button Generate Payments and Transfer to Bank Account in Stage 5, credits will be created for this tenancy transaction screen for that particular line. The boxes that are not ticked are the ones where Shintaro either doesn't have enough information to create those transactions, or the ones here which are not rent payments. We can see on the first line here that this is not a rent payment. It is a 0 amount, so it can't be a rent payment. The payment down the bottom is not a rent payment because it's Centrelink fees. So these are always going to be detailed in the file and shouldn't be included as part of the tenant's payment, and that's why Shintaro has ignored them. Now, we have a couple of problems here that we need to fix. The first is that there is a payment here which has a Centrepay ID of Niles Lofgren, but it's allocated to Susie Tyrrell. And this line here doesn't have an allocated client to it. This will be because we have the wrong CRN numbers against our clients. We can see that the CRNs for both Niles and Susie are correct, and we know this because Centrepay are never wrong, and if Centrepay say that this is their CRN, then this is their CRN. So we must have this wrong in our system for Susie, and that's why Shintaro has matched up the wrong tenant. So I'm going to select Susie's CRN and hold down Ctrl and C to copy. Then we're going to go into her client record through the client's quick link up here. We find Tyrrell in the surname field. Select her record. And we're going to paste the correct CRN in the CRN field here. So we press Ctrl and V to paste the correct CRN. Now let's go and import our file again through the home screen, into Finance, Bank Functions, and into the multi-bank processing screen. We select the file again. We've got the correct bank account, and we're going to import the file. So now we can see that Shintaro has matched those payments to the correct tenants. The blank line for Susie is gone, and Niles' payment has matched also. So we have checked all records are correct, and they have a tick box in the Generate Credit box, which is step 4. And now we can go to step 5. This is where we generate payments and transfer to bank account. When we do this, all of the rent payments will show on the tenancy transactions screen for that tenant. For those tenants with splits set up in their record, like Glenn Matlock, we'll see multiple transactions. One for rent, one for the first split payment of $40, and one for the second split payment of $60. So let's click Generate Payments and Transfer to Bank Account. And we can see that there has been 28 rent payments, 15 other credits, 0 bond, and 0 property fee transactions have been generated. All transactions have been copied to the bank account. So now this job is done. If we go and have a look at one of those tenancies, such as Glenn Matlock, we can see the 3 transactions have been created. One for rent, one for a furniture payment, and another for a utilities payment. If we go into View our bank account from the home screen, into Finance, Bank Functions, and View Bank Account, we can see the transactions from the Centrepay file in the Centrepay bank account.